Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. My name is John Pieranunzi. This is the opening swing. Let's begin today, like we always do, with our news. We actually had quite a bit out of Europe. It did not move us very much, however. We had the German GDP, French GDP, French inflation rate, German GDP, Italian GDP, Eurozone GDP, Italian inflation rate. None of it was a significant mover. For the hours that we're concerned about, we have the employment cost index at 8:30, some real estate data at 9 a.m., and at 9:45 Eastern, our Chicago PMI, followed by the consumer confidence number at 10. So a little more data than we had yesterday. However, we're still looking ahead to the bigger releases we have later this week, most specifically the FOMC announcement and our employment situation on Friday. So let's take a look at our charts. Just briefly glancing at our weekly chart, full session weekly candles. I just want to look at this chart to note that we have broken the prior week's high. We have not yet rejected these prices. So just something to note. If we continue to see excursion above the prior week's high, the 52.13s are the big target on the weekly time frame for me. That's this high. And obviously, if we fall back into this 2-week balance, we have a lot of targets within this area. But I just wanted to have this chart up just to note that we have already broken this, which was weekly one time framing lower. So that's to be aware of. Looking at our daily chart, just noting this area up here begins at 51.67, goes way up to 52.53. This was a pretty significant fight area that I mentioned on the way down, so I'm mentioning it again here. To me, it appeared that we really reacted to this area on the way up and the way down. This is sort of a repricing that then we popped above, tried to hold, fell back into, attempted to find support, and fell back below. And haven't retested. As I said, the 51.67s are the lower bounds. So this area is an important area for me. Looking at what we've done a bit more recently here, we've talked about this area of balance that we dropped within, and we have our prior month's low in this blue band that we fell beneath, put in our news low, and since then have began one time framing higher, seemingly finding our buyers, checking again, they're still there, and we continue higher. And as noted, we're one time framing higher on the daily with consecutive higher lows. So what are the areas and things we can take from this chart? Well, first of all, like I said, we're one time framing higher, and we're inside of the prior day's range. So I'll be giving odds to a break of the prior day's high as having better odds than the prior day's low. That is if this continues. We also, because the range is so tight, that gets a little bit handicapping things in that way isn't as strong. It would, just based on how tight this candle is and how sort of weak this trend is, I think we could easily see the high broken, and we could also see the low tested and reverted, or we could see a test and continuation. But like I said, just based on what we've seen, what we're walking into, we're holding above this key area, prior month's low, the 26s. Holding above these 26s, it seems more likely to me that we get a test of the high. But that's what we're looking at here on the daily chart. We're going to move along to our smaller time frame charts and plan with a little bit more granularity about what's going on here. Taking a quick look at our hourly chart of this balance that we've been in. This green line is our prior month's low, which is a key figure. And again, just to emphasize here, we've We fell below that key figure, found our buyers on the news, and have kind of steadily just had a sloppy trend higher right through this key area. So what to be aware of here is I am looking at on this chart this series of lows. We have this low here and this low. This is yesterday's RTH low. Based on just kind of the action we've had, like I said, I'm expecting this low to hold. I think this high is vulnerable. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a great trade. This is getting pretty grindy. We have our test below the 50-50 figure, impulse higher that improves the high of the balance, retest. The retest shows that there's support here. And then we've just kind of had this mild trend through this area. And I'm not, this mild trend isn't a lot of fun to trade, which is unfortunate, but I am not seeing it as having a reason to end just yet. I think that this will, or my most likely outlook from here is that, as I said, this kind of just continues to trend up until it finds the opposing force. And I am tending to think that if we're able to test this prior day's high at 54.25, that I'm not seeing a reason for us not to just continue the same action and just grind. That's barring any surprise news or anything like that. This seems to be what the market wants to do until it finds a reason not to. Where could the reason not to be? Well, of course, if we test the prior day's high and there are sellers above, then we obviously could revert. But if there are not sellers waiting above the prior day's high and we test and accept those prices, I would expect just similar mild continuation up until the 67s, which is where I'm seeing as a real area of interest. Let's go on to our PNF chart. Okay, here's our PNF chart. Let's go over a few ways that a few paths that price may take today. So as noted, my primary kind of bias today coming in so far is bullish. So we'll go over the bullish ideas first. The key areas obviously are our developing overnight low, which is right here. We have our prior month's low below in this green band. And then we have yesterday's low here. Beneath it, we have Friday's low, which is here. Above, we have our overnight high, yesterday's RTH high, and then the 67s. 65 to 67s. Above that, we have the 73s, which is the high of this area. And then the next target region I have here is the 85s. And the next key area above the 85s is the 5200s for me. So how could this go? Well, I'm tending to think that if we get the bullish move that I'm looking for, it could happen in probably the most frustrating way, which is again just a push higher. So the most bullish idea would obviously be a push higher that holds this overnight low and takes the high, probably early. I'm seeing this kind of like a rounded bottom, which could hold. So in this idea, we just kind of hold this and just sort of melt higher, trade into yesterday's RTH high, probably see some sort of pushback here. I would really be looking at FS levels and sort of this overnight structure as support. If we see something like a rotation, like a strong rotation, stronger than prior rotations, expansion higher, that pulls back and holds an area of structure, then that will be an indication to me that we're going to be able to continue and potentially get that 67 test today. Potentially. Now, the ranges, so like I said, the 67s would be the key target. However, those are my key targets yesterday as well. We didn't get that kind of range. Now, today, like I said, it's possible that we continue to have this tightening of the trade, but it's also possible we see the positioning today. both things could happen. I'm aware of both. I'm leaning a bit more towards mild upward bias, but that could very easily change. But anyway, so the most bullish idea goes to the 67s. 67s become a decision zone where things could roll over, obviously. And if they get back into the prior day's range, it starts to get a little squirrely, especially if we start getting below settlement. That kind of, to me, would indicate that things are balancing out. But if that happens, we could still hold the higher lows. It might not be a reversal. We might just check back into this area and pop back out. But I would tend to think if we see this and then a reversion, if it's not a vicious reversal, it'll just be kind of more of this grind. If we see continuation through the 67s, like I kind of alluded to, I would expect it to be similar to the action at yesterday's high, where we kind of get a push up through here. I would expect this 67 region to hold, potentially not even be retested if we really get a break out of here. Again, this is what would happen if we get a more volatile day today. If we don't get a more volatile day, we're unlikely to get this kind of range. But a push out of here that can hold, get to the 85s, that would be the next area. At this point, the sellers have pretty much been defeated, in my opinion, if we get up to here. So I think we would just kind of see some kind of, if we don't get a quick rejection, then I think we just kind of see a continued sort of drift. So that would be the most bullish kind of way for things to happen. What are some ways they could happen less bullishly? Obviously, we could also get something like a test higher here to this key test, and then a test that kind of reverts. It looks like it might be some type of a reversal, but we get to this green band and get back above settle. Settlement would be key. So we could get this kind of like wide test. That's a possibility. When ranges get this tight, it gets harder to handicap things, but we have to just remember the tests. And like I said, overnight high, overnight low, key test. Prior month's low, key test. Yesterday's RTH high, key test. So we're going to get some amalgamation of all of these tests. And what we're going to have to handicap while we're watching this is just which side is stronger through each test, and which area is likely to win, be won by buyers or sellers, and continue. I am expecting resistance on an initial test of yesterday's high. If we don't get it and we get what I said earlier, that's pretty strong. I'm expecting support and potential higher low on an attempt towards the developing overnight low. If we don't get that and we get into here, the prime month's low, I'm expecting a higher low and support towards the target's higher. I think the prior settle is going to be very important. It's at 47, which is right around that key 5150 mark. So really the most bullish idea would be if we can hold this developing overnight low, and a less bullish but still pretty bullish idea would be a test lower to this price that holds. Is it possible for us to get a test that goes the whole way down to these 5100s today? Could that happen today? It could. That could happen because this balance is so tight. If we break these ranges, we're not really sure who's waiting on the other side. But my larger bias in this is still bullish as of now. So even if we get some really surprising test that pops down into here, or likely would maybe hold this low, so maybe just above the 5100s, that would be pretty bearish, but I would be hesitant to bet on continuation unless I really see these, yesterday's low and the prior month's low rejected. Like a push down in this area could still get rejected with a strong impulse and just kind of get back up into this area. That could happen. However, the alternate case would obviously be if we instead kind of try to get this test or a test near this area, and then we really can't get back into range, maybe try one time, fail, and then continue. Again, if we get past this area today and settle beneath, that'll be pretty significant to me. If we break below this 5100s to 06, if we break below and settle below, that'll be pretty unexpected for me. I'm not expecting it. It could happen, very easily could, but I'm not really I'm not really expecting it. I think that I think that tries lower. I think that shorts would have to be. I think you'd have to have a target, and I don't know if it would be a good idea to have a runner on the short side. Could be totally wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. But what could be some indications that we are going to break lower? Again, the big one I've been looking for is when we start to see a series of highs like this, and then as they are doing here, they start to fail to get a higher high. So again, if this comes out very bearishly, the way we could get those tests lower would just kind of be some sort of a drip down through here, takes the low, probably tries to retest FS levels and continues. And then we're in this area, which, like I said, could give us the continuation we're looking for, or could go lower. Something like this could also happen, as I mentioned yesterday, with some type of a quick test higher, gets those highs, but then falls back below settlement. Falls back below settlement and kind of continues for this test. That would still preserve this kind of sloppy sort of uptrend, but it would get very messy. So overall today, really, I'm thinking that this could be, unless we get a real clean move, and by real clean move, I would say a move below this area in the prior month's low that sticks, a move below this area, or a move above the 67s. If we're like, I'm really expecting a lot of the action to be taking place in these prices today, and probably to be a little bit tighter. That's my primary expectation, with mostly a bullish skew. If we get a break hold settlement below this area, below yesterday's RTH low, that'll be, I'm just flagging, that'll be a surprise to me. Could easily happen. It probably will happen now that I'm saying it. But I'm just flagging it, but we got to be prepared for anything. But below this area, and then above the 67s, again, this is really where I'm expecting the trade to kind of trail off. A push through here also would be a bit surprising to me, but less of a surprise. I think if we get something, a surprise, it'll be to the upside. Could be very wrong, because this is rounding, which makes everything a little bit more complicated. But that's generally what I'm seeing today. I'm kind of thinking, like I said, it could be a little quieter, but I could be wrong. Yesterday, I thought we'd get a little bit more of a move. We did not. Today, I'm thinking it could be quieter. We could get the move today. But that's why we go over so many different paths and different ways these tests could happen, or at least that's why I do, because I want to kind of, this is really a process of visualization for what I might encounter during the day. And I hope it helps you. So we're going to wrap it here. Again, the video goes a bit long because that's what happens every day. But we're working on that, and working on making some more improvements here to help you guys. But appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, a whole bunch, all of you. So thanks for that, and I hope you get some utility out of this today. I hope you have a really great day and you find a way to improve on your trading from yesterday. Improve on how you did yesterday, because that's what it's all about. And of course, try to make somebody else in your life smile, because that's really how good days happen, is when you can give someone else a good day. So all the best to you. I'll see you tomorrow. Best of luck. Bye-bye.